Welcome to the Bougie Black Brother Network. Good evening and welcome to Fade to Black Cinema. I'm Michael, your Bougie Black Brother, and I'm here for our TV series review. As you know, we kind of binge watch a couple of TV series, and especially if they're under 10 episodes, we take a day and Alicia and I just binge watch the hell out of it. And I'm doing this one by myself because I'm kind of hanging out. But we finished watching Stranger Things Season 3. The Stranger Things phenomenon that started back out. I didn't even get it. But it's based on all the way back to 1985. That's how they actually was. The series is actually being filmed and all in that type of era. So kind of really interesting. And we did season 1 and 2 together, but the third one came out. So a little backtrack on 2. 2 was okay. It had some issues with it trying to go in different directions and trying to create different storylines for 11 and for the certain other characters. And so wasn't as good as the first. And the first really got you into, wow, this is a totally different type of genre of suspense, supernatural with kids, something like the Goonies or Stand By Me or something like that, but with a lot of different supernatural things. And of course with your typical government conspiracy. So that was in it as well. So season 3, this one, kind of looked forward to it, but wasn't as excited because of season 2. But here's the premise of the movie. In the summer of 1985 in Hawkins, the Starcourt Mall has become the focal point of the town, driving other stores out of business. Sheriff Hooper is conflicted over 11, which is the young girl with the powers, and Mike's budding relationship. So if you remember, he was like in love with her. 11 is my girl. And so he's concerned with that. So he got with Joyce and considered moving out of Hawkins for better prospects, leaving the state of the children's friendship and their relationship really up in the air. However, strange power fluctuations triggers Will's awareness of something outwardly. So Will is the little boy that was captured and brought to the upside down world. And 11 and Max sense something is off about the town's residents, despite having closed the portal to the upside down, fears that they are in danger from it still. So this one was really kind of odd because the kids actually was doing separate things. One went to summer camp. Mike and 11 was hanging out more together. The other guys was hanging with their little girlfriends and stuff like that. And they brought in a couple of characters as well. One was one of the young boys' little sister, who was a brat but like a small geek genius as well. And that was a little different injection as well, which made it a lot more interesting because they brought more children into it. A lot of the reoccurring characters came back. I'm not going to do too many spoilers, but a couple of people died. One unexpected, and one you was kind of like, yeah, I guess that person can die. So it was a little odd and really dramatic, but a lot more darker as well. I mean, the whole premise of it all is usually dark, but playful because of the children. And it had a really good balance as opposed to the one with from season 2 with 11 going and finding her sister, because I thought this season would bring her sister and helping her and all of these children that was experimented on. I thought that was something that was going to occur in season 3, but nope, not at all. So much for that premise. But this one added in the Russians actually trying to get to the upside down in order to get the power or harness that power. And then it shows, doing a Cold War from the late 70s and on, and they were in here as spies, but they actually was in the town trying to break back open the Upside Down, which brought out a lot of the creatures that was actually now in the town, killing people and more exposure, and just going after 11 because the creatures in Upside Down were knows that who she is and what she's capable of doing. So that brought in something else. And then you got Russians that's there, and you got Russian soldiers, and a lot of the other characters from the previous episodes showed back up, minor characters outside of the children and their parents and things. So it was really, really different, but really gave you a different perspective of different characters, because the other characters had their portion that was part of the show as opposed to the main characters like they did before, which I found was really cool that first time. Like, for example, the boy Steve Harrington, he gets a job at the ice cream place, but he's a real big focal point. The boy Will, who was taken to the Upside Down world, he was a minor character as opposed to one of the main characters. Charlie, which was Will's brother, and the sister of one of the other younger boys too, they became a slightly minor as well. So they had some primary characters that were in minor roles, and a lot of minor characters moved up into major roles. So it was a good flip. So with the fourth season, the perspective should be everyone is pretty much well established. And as they're well established, whichever way the story is written, it wouldn't be overwhelming to each character. So it's pretty balanced because everyone had their time to shine, and we'll go from there. The good thing is, like I kind of wrote that there was some mixed reviews, and they said it doesn't have the magic like before. But I think 3 aligns better with 1 than 2 to 1. 2 on the first couple of episodes were pretty good, but then it just went into things that I didn't think related well, because you didn't match it back up. You didn't go back to it to say what was the relevance of all of that to the series, and what was it relevant to the third season. So that was kind of odd. But this one, with them trying to get back into the Upside Down world, the playful banter between the children continued. There was some adult aspects, and which I found kind of funny too. The guy Jim Hooper, who was the sheriff, and as well as Winona Ryder, who is Joyce. You finally get that sexual tension between them, which I didn't understand why that didn't materialize earlier, but they start playing into that as well this time. So it became obvious their interactions together was more tense because they had feelings for each other. So that kind of came out too, and they played it pretty well. But the centerpiece of it was the mall. So, and there's a lot of interactions and playful things going on, and the Russians underneath, and so a lot of different things that you find that they kept bringing them to the mall, because in the 80s, that's where children hung out, and the arcades, the little sweet spots, and different things from that matter. So, but this one, I really think this was a really, really good series for this season. They did it pretty well. 11 wasn't a really, really, really focal point. She was a good assistant to what was going on. She interacted in, or was interjected in ways, not as the primary protagonist. There was just a pretty good balance between all the children and other characters. But it didn't put her front and center, but it kept her as being essential to the season as well, because a lot of it is strange that this young girl has these kind of powers. So no spoilers on the backside because there's a lot of them that's pretty surprising. And so you kind of wonder where are they writing it to, but you kind of understand what they can do. So they gave you a lot of options at the end on where they can pick up from or what the storyline would be really upfront and prominent. But Stranger Things season 3, really, really good season. How many episodes was it? Let me find out. It was 8 episodes. Very digestible. Very, very digestible. So, like we said, anything under 10 is a great binge watch. Anything over that, you're going to have to break it up. And a lot of times, if it's over 10, a lot of the actual episodes are filler. So you got a lot of filler type, and you kind of like, come on now, why did you have to do that? Blah, blah, blah. And most of these episodes are all averaged over 8. Some at like 9.1 and 9.4, even 9, 8.8. The lowest is 8.1, and that was the first episode because I guess you trying to get to understand what the season was going to be about. But pretty good. So Stranger Things season 3, check it out when you get a chance, and you can actually binge that. Fade to Black Cinema. Fade to Black Cinema. See us every Wednesday. Every Wednesday we have TV series, we have movies, we have foreign movies, we have so many different things. TV movies as well. And the Emmys is coming up. So we saw a couple of the main Emmy nominees. So we're going to make sure we kind of talk about that when Leisha gets back, and we'll kind of do that as well. But outside of that, Fade to Black Cinema on podcasts or Bougie Black Brother Network on YouTube and all podcasts downloads. So check that out. Or bougieblackbrother.com, and you can go there under movies and check out our podcast. Outside of that, I thank you very much for stopping by, and we'll see you next time on Fade to Black Cinema.